Here's 8 things changing in Warhammer 3 with the Shadows of Change DLC update.
Battle Slider.
Now when you go to start a campaign, you will have a new option before you do. Down in the battle settings, you'll find the AI stats modifier slider. As it reads, changing this will modify the stats of the AI in battle. Now this was going on before, but it was tied into your battle difficulty. Now they've been separated so you can customize how you want the game a little more. Having it set all the way to the right is the stat boost that you used to get when playing on very hard. Units are harder to break, harder to rout, they'll do more damage. Whereas having it all the way up the other way is like playing on easy, where it takes all this stuff away from the AI, thus making them rout sooner and be less dangerous to your troops. That might leave you with the question then of, well, what does the battle difficulty do now? Well, long story short, it makes the reaction time of the AI faster, so they'll simply do things a little bit sooner, they won't be so sluggish. The ranged units will choose their targets better, they'll focus fire, they'll go for the more dangerous targets in your army, and they'll evade better. They'll dodge spells and missiles and artillery better. So basically, it just makes the AI overall smarter. It's still, Total War AI, but you can now maintain the challenge while choosing how you want the stats to be. So if you want the AI to be super tough and have everything basically be unbreakable, you can crank it all the way up to the right. If you want it to be a little more kind of realistic to how the factions would operate, the faction identities don't get as lost, you don't get unbreakable Skaven slaves and things like that, you can move it over more to the left. I've tried it in the middle and right down low. I'll probably do a video on how much impact I found it's had, but it's a really nice feature to see added. Hopefully it gets expanded on in the future. I'd like to even see it where all of those different stats that it changes get their own sliders, so I can adjust leadership individually. I can adjust melee defense or reload time, whatever. Maybe I want to make the battles last longer, so I crank up melee defense, maybe move down melee attack a little, who knows. Really nice addition to the game though.
Unit tiers.
So you know how units used to be grouped into either bronze, silver or gold tiers? Well, now we've got 5 tiers, starting with grey for tier 1, bronze for tier 2, silver for tier 3, gold for tier 4, and a purpley colour for tier 5. Your next question might be, well, how do they decide which unit is which tier? Well, it's as simple as cost. A tier 1 unit is anything below 500 cost, a tier 2 unit is between 500 but under 1,000, a tier 3 1,000 but below 1,500, you get the idea of where this is going. A tier 4 is between 1,500 and below 2,000, and a tier 5 is anything 2,000 or above. So it's a simple but rough system on kind of guidelines to which units might beat which other units, which I think is quite handy for newer players to start to get to know the game a little better. Experienced players probably never look at unit tier icons anyway, so it's not much use to us, but if you're new, it might help you understand which of your units might win or lose against certain other units. Tier can be a rough guideline.
Mappy maps.
A bunch of new land battle maps have been added in the Chaos Mountains region. There's 8 new ones. Nope, that's 7 new ones. Learn to count, Zerk. Here's a look at a few of them. They're all in very dark grey mountainous regions with lava flowing about all over the place. A lot of them very open but a little bumpy and hilly in places. Some of them have some kind of obstacles. You see the 3 little lava holes there. Here's another one with a little kind of chaos gate looking thing on it. Another pretty open map. Nice big lava skull over here with lava flowing through the teeth. The map itself is kind of a slope, so one side starts probably the defender on the higher ground, so that's an advantageous position. And then there's this one with a Mount Rushmore thing going on. It's very similar in the overall vibe, a little bit more snowy this one perhaps. And you can't really tell by looking at it, but there is a bit more to this map. Why is my map so small? There's kind of like 4 little platforms on each corner of this map. You can see one kind of here. There's these 2 little ledges which you could put some missile units up on with a little gap in the middle. They could fire down from there though, missiles, artillery. Could be nice. There's also 3 new ambush battles in this same region and 2 choke point battles as well. But undoubtedly the best map addition to this update is the Beastmen Herdstone Minor Settlement. That's right, Minor Settlement. This dark, gloomy wood is what you're going to run into if you try to attack one of the Beastmen's Herdstones, which looks very cool itself on the map, and it is actually a proper minor settlement. As you can see, it's got all the constructible stuff around. You can build towers back here, you can build barricades, and it is still quite open though, which is nice. You can actually have kind of a land battle, but still have the defenses there to help you out. So some nice additions there in the map department. And speaking of maps,
New settlements.
on the campaign map, we've got a couple of new settlements. I've only found a few, there might be more, I don't know, but there's at least 2 in Kislev, Plesk here in the Eastern Oblast, expanding this region, which should give a little bit more power to the Kislev factions that control it. And then just to the south of that, in the Southern Oblast, we've got Igorov. Another settlement kind of in the mountains, but it's part of the Southern Oblast, so that gives it 4 settlements up from 3, I believe, which just gives the Kislev factions more to capture, so potentially more money and such for them to earn. You might have also noticed that this province now has a capital settlement in Fort Jakova here, which it didn't before. It would be a 4-slot settlement instead of an 8-slot, so now Kislev have some proper settlements outside of the 3 main cities. Also, over in the Lustria region, just south of where good old Mazda Mundi starts, you've got Yuan Bo, who brings a new settlement in the Isle of the Crimson Skull. This piece of land was here before, but there was just nothing there. Now it's got a settlement on it and a little land bridge to get to it as well. It's part of the Aymara Swamp, so just expanding the campaign map a little bit.
Landmarks.
Some landmarks have been added for the older factions, as well as some for the newer factions too. Down here in the Badlands at Death Gorge, we've got the Pillar of Bone. You get a few standard bonuses, and then some extra magic if there's enemy lords around, which is nice. Over in Norska at the Monolith of Bjorkil Bloody Hand, you've got the Monolith of the Bloody Hand, which grants Guardian to Marauder champions. Very nice. There's also this one in Kislev at Castle Alexandrinov. It's a tier 3 building, grants you some Sargard and Griffon Legion garrison, but also allows you to recruit those units from a tier 3 building, so you don't have to wait till tier 4 or 5 like usual. Very, very nice. It might just help Kostaltin defend that settlement from all the onslaught of Norscan armies that'll come from the ocean. So there's a few of the landmarks. There's a bunch more as well if you want to see them. I believe Lawmaster of Sotek has a video covering all of them, so go and have a look at that if you want to see them all.
Light and Beasts.
You know how CA has reworked some of the visuals for the old magic laws? Well, they've done that with the Law of Light and the Law of Beasts. Here we go. Amber Spear now looks like this. Flock of Doom now looks like this. Very similar, but a little more sparkly. Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. Bawley. The Curse of Anraher. Flory Slash. Wissen's Wild Form. Woof. And the Transformation of Kodon. It's absolutely pretty much the same. On to the Law of Light with Banishment. Shiny. Please also take a moment to close your eyes and take in the ASMR elf screams. Lovely. Next, the Net of Amantok. See how it shimmers. It's got like this nice little color scheme going on. So shiny.
Enemy magic.
Barona's Time War. Spirally. Shem's Burning Gaze. Sparkly. Far's Protection. Shieldy. And lastly, Light of Battle. Sparkly shine shine.
Roster changes.
Just a few little notes on some unit changes, a few questions I've been asked. I get this one a lot. What units are in the Beastmen roster? You've got the Zangors in the infantry, they cost 700, and you've got the Incarnate Elemental of Beasts. That's it. I've heard it argued that they should have the Cockatrice as well, and maybe in the future they will, but for now they don't. The Warriors of Chaos, though, they do have the Cockatrice, as well as the Mutilith Vortex Beast, all the Regiments of Renown, of course, because they're from the Tzeentch roster, right? So everything there is transferred over. The Zangors as well. You've got Eckhart Hellbrass here. You can also get the Blue Scribes in campaign, at least. They're not listed here, but in campaign, I believe you can get the Blue Scribes as any Chaos faction. Monogod, Warriors of Chaos, whoever. As far as changes to other factions, it's kind of hard to tell without the patch notes and without having the older version of the game to compare to. So I can't tell you any little details about any particular unit. I have noticed that the Armored Kossars, I think, got a little bit more expensive than they were before, but that's about the only thing I've noticed. Like I say, it's hard without the patch notes, but we'll find all that out when those come along.
Mechanics.
You may have heard that the Cathay Harmony system now works slightly differently, as it is province by province rather than faction-wide. You now have this little icon over on the left, which will tell you how you're doing and which ways you can go and what you'll get. There seems to be no negative impact anymore, which is pretty big. But as I say, it's province by province now, so if you want to have one yin province, one yang province, one balanced province, you can do whatever you want. This is, of course, for all Cathay lords as well, new and old. And overall, I think it's a better change. I think it's better. I haven't really tested it or anything yet, but we'll have to see how they go. You can always get a quick overview on this little icon by the settlement name. The changing of the ways for the Tzeentch factions are also different as well now. There's a few that have been changed up. I believe Holt faction has now become Holt Army. That might be a balancing thing, but now you no longer have Give War Coordination Target and See Enemy Intentions. Those are both gone. You now have Force Peace, so you can force peace between two factions. And I believe spread corruption is new as well, so you can get your Zinchi corruption all over the land. So there's a bunch of changes coming with the 4.0 update. Thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed this. That's the wrong order. I'll see you in the future.